Hello and welcome to another tutorial. Today we are going to be working on the 6th part of our 7-part rainbow series, and the color we'll be working with today is indigo. So this is a rainbow series. It's also a chakra series. So there is 7 colors in the chakras, and this one is indigo. So I've been looking at the color indigo and I was having a hard time figuring out whether it was blue or purple. And come to find out, there's a long-standing debate on the internet between whether it's blue or purple. So I am going to kind of just do a combo of both. Before we get into this video, I just want to add this shameless plug because I haven't talked about my Patreon at all during this series. So I'm just going to let you guys know about my Patreon. So basically, if you guys are enjoying this series, if you like my teaching style, and if you're looking to learn more about this style of painting, I highly recommend joining my Patreon. So Patreon is a subscription platform, which is really amazing for creators and artists like me. So some of you may or may not know, but this is my full-time job. I'm a full-time artist and teacher, and Patreon allows me to be able to do this full-time. That is where I actually make some money. So I pretty much put these YouTube videos out for free, and then people who join my Patreon pay a $10 subscription fee for extra videos, and that is how I pay my bills. So if you guys have liked these videos, I highly recommend checking out my Patreon. I'll leave a link in the description below. Basically, it's a $10 a month subscription fee. You can cancel anytime, and as soon as you sign up, you'll have access to all of my past videos. So there's probably about 20 on there now that you'll have instant access to. And then we do weekly painting classes where we all paint together, and I send out all the details of the class a couple days before so you guys can prepare, and then we paint live and people get to ask questions live in the comments, and we just kind of get to interact. There's a really fun community over there. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know about that. If you would like to support me, Patreon is a great option. Again, I'll link all the info in the description of the video. And now we can move on to our tutorial. So we will be painting on this 10-inch wood canvas. These are from Michaels. I will also link those in the description of the video. I've already painted mine black using FolkArt multi-surface satin in pure black. And I'll be using a 16-point mandala stencil and a compass and these Brossard white charcoal pencils. So aside from the boards, almost all of the other tools can be found in my Amazon shop. I will link that in the description below. That can also be found by going to my website, which is thoughtfuldots.com, and then click on the Tools I Use tab. And we will be using brushes today. These are the US Art Supply brushes. Mine are a little bit dirty. I may need to clean those. We'll be using this nail stylus tool set. I will also leave a link in the description of the video for a size chart for my specific set. That way you can see the sizes and convert to whatever set that you are using. And then I'll be using some dotting rods by Happy Dotting Company. These have the millimeter size right on the handle, making it super easy for you guys to follow along, or you can use that number to convert to whatever dotting rod set that you are using. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, we will be using some mirrors. All of the paintings in this set have some type of mirror. I just don't know ahead of time of where they're gonna go. So I bought this container at Michael's and then filled it with mirrors that I got from Amazon. Again, you can find these in my Amazon shop. If you do not have these mirrors, you can paint on the shape of whatever mirrors I end up using. So if I use the diamond shape, you can paint on a diamond shape instead of using the mirrors. These are about 1 inch long, 1/2 inch wide. I forget the length of these. I always forget. The triangles are about 1 inch. Yeah, or no, 1/2 inch, sorry. 1/2 inch. So yeah, those are the tools we'll be using. I'm just gonna go through the colors real quick. So, like I said, this palette is indigo, and I'm gonna do a combination of blue and purple, probably some gold too. So what I'm thinking, these are all darker colors. The Ultramarine Blue and this Dioxazine Purple dry a little bit dark. So, sorry, I'll go through these. Royal Navy, Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, Glorious Gold, Flash Paints in Violet and Ultramarine Blue. So those are the colors we're working with. I'll probably use some white, Snow Titanium White. But I think what I'm going to do, this is a darker palette, but since we're painting on a black background, I don't want it to be too dark or it will just get lost and be super dark. We still want the colors to pop. So these are the colors I picked. I will probably lighten these up with a little bit of white, like a drop or two of white. And I think I will mix the purple in with the blue to get more of like that, I guess, indigo color. So like a purpley blue. So we will go over that when we actually mix the colors. But for now, we can draw on our guide marks. Feel free to skip this part if you've seen it, 5 times already in the previous videos. It's the same process each time. So we first need to find the center. So I'm just going across, it's 10 inches. So I'm just gonna mark 5, which is half. And then I'm gonna flip it the other way. Same thing, 5, do it again. Five. I'm just gonna do it a couple more times. I think I'll just go in between these two and use that as my starting point. And I'm just going to take this. Putting the pointy end on our guesstimate dot. And I'm gonna pull this all the way out to the edge. And then I'm gonna flip it around and see how this one hits right on the edge. And then this side over here goes way off the board. So that means I need to pull it down. So then we'll just adjust, pull it all the way out to the edge, then flip it over, pull it all the way out to the edge. Now it's hitting at the same point on each side. So then we'll do the left side and the right side. And now it's all hitting at the same point. So that will be our center. I'm going to erase these ones. I like to make a little hole. And then I'll also dot on top. So there's our center. So now I'm going to place the 16-point mandala stencil And just make sure that there is a guide mark going north, south, east, west. And then we also just want to make sure, see these diagonals, you just want to make sure that they're gonna go through the center of the corners. So we just want to make sure it's nice and set up for a square. So yeah, you can just kind of eyeball it, north, south, east, west, going through the center of each side. And then I'm just gonna take this pencil out. And start making those vertical guide marks. I'm taking this long ruler with the I like to use this metal side, and we're just going to extend these all the way out to the edge. And then these are the ones we just want to do our best to get them to go down the center of each corner. And I just like to blow the residue off so that it's not smearing. One more. Okay, so there we have our vertical guide marks. I'm just gonna pop this in the electric sharpener. Make sure it's nice and sharp for our circular guide marks. So since this is a smaller canvas, you don't want your pencil to be like way down here because it's gonna be impossible to get smaller circles. So I put mine like right, just a little bit longer than the metal part. And we are just going to put this stencil back over the center. And I'm just gonna mark one set of lines for the circular guide marks. And these are just a tiny bit longer than a 1/2 centimeter. So what I'm gonna do is just extend these out. I'm gonna mark a little bit longer than 1/2 centimeter. so now this comes all the way out to the edge. And now we are going to put our pencil. I like to really make a hole in that center so that this is not gonna slide out too easily. And then we're just going to use our pencil to extend these circular guide marks out. Then just put the pencil on the next line. We're gonna do the same thing for all of these. You just want to make sure that last one comes all the way out to the edge here. And that is pretty much it for the guide marks. Now we get to mix our paint. And again, I wasn't prepared. So these are just like a bunch of palettes. I just leave them out on my desk to dry. Yep. So I just need to pick these out. So I just use a tool. Ready to go. Okay, so let's think about colors. I'm gonna start with the Royal Navy. So I think what I'll do, I'm gonna do 2 Royal Navy. Oh, that one had that liquid. I forgot to shake it up. So I'm just gonna grab a paper towel and just get it over it. It'll soak up that liquid. I'm gonna shake this up. This, I can already hear it. Sounds more runny than normal. Okay, so we have Royal Navy, 2, and then 2 Ultramarine Blue. So I'm gonna leave that one, just the true Royal Navy. This one I'm gonna add some purple. And then this one I'm gonna add some purple. So just looking at these all need some white. So they're all really dark. I don't like working with dark palettes, so they're all gonna get a drop of white. So this one is ending up being periwinkle. So if you ever need to know how to make a periwinkle color, that one is Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, and white. Just to recap so far, these two, this one is Royal Navy with a drop of white. This one is Royal Navy with Dioxazine Purple and a drop of white. This one is Ultramarine Blue with Dioxazine Purple and a drop of white. And this one is Ultramarine Blue with a drop of white. But we're not finished because I want these ones to be more purple. So I want like two that are more bluish and then these ones to have more of a purple. I ultimately decided that indigo is more of a blue color than purple. So these are gonna be mainly blue colors, but with a couple with purple undertones. And then I just want to make sure that there's enough of a contrast between these two colors. So I'm going to add a lot more purple. This one is still a little dark, so I'm going to add some white. I know this color, these are a lot of mixed colors, so it's probably kind of hard for you guys to follow along. So I just want to encourage you to get creative. See if you can come up with a similar palette. It's okay if it's a little bit different. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine, just as long as the colors are cohesive. Oop. I'm a very messy mixer. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then I just want to add a little bit more ultramarine blue. This one got a little bit light. I want it to be a little bit more of a deep blue. So I was originally going to use a gold accent, but I'm changing my mind. Gold would look good. You could still use it. But I'm going to use a white accent instead, just because these colors are a little bit darker. So I really want to make sure that they pop. So white will make sure that it doesn't end up too dark. So, these are all custom colors now. I don't really know. I'm gonna number them for you. One, two, three, four. So we have that Royal Navy, the Royal Navy with purple. This one is the Ultramarine Blue with Dioxazine Purple, and this one is just Ultramarine Blue. Obviously these all have white, so I will just be saying 1, 2, 3, 4. This one needs to be mixed a little bit more. Okay, now we have our colors all mixed and we can get started. I'm going to start with Ultramarine Blue Flash. Just kind of moving everything over to give me more space. I'm going to be using the 15.5 dotting rod. Let's check out the consistency of this paint. I think I actually thinned this one out recently, so it should be good. These flash paints can be on the thicker side, so if you do need to thin your paint out, this is what I like to use, Liquitex Matte Fluid Medium. Okay, let me just get this light over here. So 15.5 dotting rod, and I am just going to dot right over that center. And you can see that's standing up. So that is thick, but it's okay. We are going to smooth it out using a stylus tool. So I'm just grabbing the large end of the blue stylus tool. Oh, it was standing up because there's something in there, a little piece of something. There we go. So I'm just doing these little circular motions to smooth out. So now we have our center dot. And I'm going to outline it with white. I'm going to use the large end of the yellow stylus tool. And the white, and we are just going to start our first row of dots. And we just want to do our best to make these all the same size. And we are just walking along that large blue dot. And as we get to the end, I'm just kind of eyeballing. I think I can fit about 1, 2 more in that space. And there we have our first row. Now, let's see. I am going to go up in size to the large end of the white tool. There it is. And we will do this number 4. And we're just gonna go in between each dot from the previous row. These dots are a little bit bigger, so it might actually not go in between each dot. Yeah, it's getting off a little bit, but it's fine. So I'm just gonna continue. Doesn't have to be between each dot from the previous row. So I'm basically just starting a new row. And then this paint, the one that I'm using right now, the number 4, I think just that bottle of Ultramarine Blue in general is a little bit more on the liquidy side. So these dots are more liquidy than normal. So what I could do is add a gel medium just to help thicken it up a little bit so they're not so runny. So if you're experiencing that runny paint, then You could always add a gel medium. Okay, I can fit about 2 more in that space there. And the more runny your paint is, the more careful you want to be not to let your dots touch because they will run together. Okay, now I'm going up to the large end of the blue tool, and I'm going to use the number 2 color. And again, I'm going to try to just dot in between each row from the, or each dot from the previous row. All of these paints are a little bit more on the runny side, I'm noticing. And that also makes them bigger. I'm going to go up in size to the large end of the green tool. And let's see, I'm going to go for the number 1 color. Okay, so I'm just going to make that our last row, and then just trying to find the right tool. I'm going to use the size 6 tool and our number 3 color. And I'm going to dot on each vertical guide mark, and I just want to make sure to leave a little space in between because we're going to do a little swoosh there. Okay, so we are going to do some little swooshes in between, and I'm going to use the white and the green tool. Just has paint built up on the end, so actually I might want to use a smaller tool. Let me just see here. Maybe this pink. So large end of the pink tool. And then using the smaller end to drag down. So typically when I do these swooshes, I use the large green tool, but these purplish dots that we did, like I said, the paint is a little bit more runny. So those are really runny. So I just want to be really careful not to let this white touch them because it'll all run together. So that's why I'm using the smaller tool this time, to just get smaller, more precise dots and swooshes down the center. Okay, next I'm going to grab a mirror, a diamond mirror, and my charcoal pencil. And I'm going to put it above one of these purple dots on this vertical guide mark. And I'm using my charcoal pencil to outline. And then I'm going to skip a guide mark, so go every other vertical guide mark. And again, if you don't have the mirrors, you can just draw or paint on the diamond shape using a brush and paint. Okay, so now we have our mirror outlines. And I'm gonna take the white, I need to pour some more. And I'm going to take the large end of the blue tool, and I'm gonna dot right at the tip of the diamond, and then walk the dots down along that diamond shape. And we're just gonna do that for each diamond shape. Okay, now we want to grab a brush. I'm just testing to see which size I want. I'm gonna use this smaller brush, it's 5/0. And I'm just gonna get it wet and make sure that it's fully saturated. And I'm gonna use the number 1 darker blue color. And so there's the petal, and then there's this guide mark up here. So I wanna bring the brush strokes up to the bottom of this guide mark. And we're just gonna keep our pattern below this guide mark so that we set ourselves up for our next pattern. So I'm just keeping it below that guide mark. And we are just outlining the petals. Next, I'm gonna do the number 4 color. And these are going to be slightly shorter. And we're just going, oop, just dip that in the wrong color. So yes, just slightly shorter and going along the edge of the last brush stroke that we did. And then I'm gonna use the number 3 for our last brush stroke. And again, these are gonna be slightly shorter. Okay, we're gonna do some little swooshes using our white, and I'm going to use the green tool, the large end of the green tool. I'm just dotting right in between, oops, each petal pattern on this vertical guide mark. I'm just going right down the center. Okay, now I'm going to use just the same size tool, and I'm going to go on either side of the swoosh we just made, and then use the small end to drag it down. Okay, and then there's this little empty triangle part here. So what I want to do is I'm gonna draw some triangles using this flash violet and a dotting tool. I'm gonna you can use really any tool. I'm using the small end of the white tool. I know that these colors are kind of hard to see on the camera, but we are just drawing that purple shape or purple triangle. Okay, next we are going to do a row of dots starting at this guide mark, going all the way around the circle. And I'm going to use the number 2 color. And the size 6 dotting rod. And we are just gonna go all the way around on that guide mark. Okay, so for this next part, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to be drawing on some little petal marks, and then I'm going to use a brush to brush it on. Oops. Oh man, I just got paint on my pencil, so let me just get that off. Always making a mess, but that's the fun part. Okay, so I'm going to be using the number 3. Oh, we got to draw our petals first. Okay. So just pick a guide mark. I'm going to pick this one that's going through north, south. So here's a vertical guide mark. Then there's this left one and this right one, and that's where we're going to start our petal. So basically coming out, and then I want it to come up into a peak. Like that. This shape is actually a lot easier for me to draw with a brush. Okay, so now we have our flower petals, and I'm going to grab a brush. This is number 1 medium brush. I've never done this before, so we're just gonna test it out. I don't know which brush I need. And I'm using the number 3 color. I just realized when I dipped my pencil in on accident, I smeared some paint. Okay, so I'm going to be outlining, and then I'm going to fill it in. So there is our petal shape. And then I'm going to go across this guide mark. And then just fill this in. We might need to do 2 coats, we'll see. Okay, and now I'm just gonna go back over some of the dried areas and just fill in a little bit where the black is showing through. It doesn't have to be perfectly filled in because we're still gonna add a design on top of this. Okay, so there we have our painted petals, and now we are going to let this dry. And we are just real quickly gonna go do some micro dots in between each dot from the row that we did. So just filling them in like that, going all the way around. Okay, and now we're gonna continue on these petals. And I'm going to use, let me get this one wet and see. Okay, so I'm gonna try out this long bristle brush. This is the #1. And I'm gonna use the #4 color. I just wanna make sure that there's enough of a contrast. Looks like there is. So I'm gonna be outlining these. Like so. And I'm gonna do that for each one. Okay, and that just kind of smoothed out any rough edges. And now we are going to just add a little design in the center here. And then we will be moving on. So I'm out of the purple, so I'm just going to make a little bit more. So that was the ultramarine with the purple and some white. So since this is a blue background, I'm going to use some more of the purple colors just for a little bit of contrast. So I'm going to grab the flash purple and a larger dotting rod. So there's still this vertical guide mark. It's covered right here, but we can see it coming out this end and this end. So we are going to do our best to get our dot on that vertical guide mark. So I'm using the 9.5 dotting rod and the violet flash purple, and just making a dot at the bottom center. of each petal. And these have the little peak, so I will take my stylus tool and just go smooth these out a little bit. So just grab a stylus tool if you want to smooth these out. Now I'm gonna grab the white and the larger end of the yellow stylus tool. We are going to walk the dots down around that purple. Next, I'm going to take the large end of the green stylus tool and the number 3 color, and I'm making a large dot. Actually, that is the same color as the background, so I changed my mind. So we want there to be enough of a contrast here. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make another color with purple and ultramarine blue and more white. So like a light purple or a light periwinkle. And I just want more purple. Okay, so now we have this light purple color, and that will be more of a contrast against this background. So I'm using the large end of the green tool and just making a large dot at the tip. And then I'm gonna take a smaller tool, so we'll try the small end of the white tool. And that same color. And we will just walk the dots down. Okay, now I'm gonna take a smaller brush. This is the 5/0, and we're gonna do some brush strokes. And I'm going to use the Ultramarine Blue, so the metallic blue. And we are just outlining this. Okay, now I'm gonna take the white and the large end of the white stylus tool, and we are gonna dot at the tip and just walk these down just along the tip of the blue brush stroke we just made. Okay, and now I'm gonna take the violet, so the metallic, and I'll use that same, actually I'm gonna go up in size a little to the number 1 short bristle medium. And I want these to be pretty thick at the bottom, so I need more paint. And lastly, we are just going to do a little more white accent. So I'm taking the large end of the white stylus tool and the white paint, and I'm starting at the base of the petals and now walking the dots up. And we will do that for each petal. Okay, and we are just going to do some top dots real quick. Let me think here. I'm looking for a smaller dotting rod, so 4.5, and I'm just going to lighten up the center with that light purple, just top dotting over these dots. And then I'm going to take that same 4.5 tool and the Ultramarine metallic, and I'm going to top dot over each dot in this row of dots going all the way around. Okay, I want to do some more dots, but I just have to figure out how I want them to look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2. I don't know. I'm gonna try this real quick. I'm using the size 8.5 tool and the number 3 color. So I'm just testing this out first. looks all right. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the 8.5 tool and we are just going to do the first 3 dots. So I'm starting on that vertical guide mark. And then I want them to line up on the bottom guide mark. Okay, and now I'm gonna use the size 5 dotting rod and just making 1 dot. Again, we're just lining up on the bottom guide mark. And then we will use the large end of the green stylus tool and just walk some dots along that edge. Pretty. And then I just want to test out using some white dots, see if I like it. So this part's totally optional, but I'm gonna dot in between just until my paint runs out. And now I want to do some little swooshes in between here. So I'm just dotting with the large end of the green tool and then using the small end to drag, and then I'm just going to use the small end to do some little dot and drag swooshes. All right, and now we can move on to the corners. I'm gonna grab this blue It might need to be just moistened up a little bit. I'm going to take the size 10 dotting rod. And I'm just going to dot right on that corner guide mark. I'm going to use the large end of the yellow tool and the white. And just walk the dots around. Next, I'm going to use the large end of the blue tool, and let's see, the light purple. Make a dot at each tip. And then I'm going to use this smaller brush. It's the US Art Supply 5/0. And that light purple. And I'm just going to do some brush strokes around the edge. And then I'm going to take the large end of the blue tool again and this blue color. And we're just going to make 3 dots on the tip. And we're going to take that same brush, 5/0, and do the same thing. I'm going to go to a longer bristle brush, so I'm going to use the #1 rigger brush, which is a longer bristle. I'm just getting some more paper towel. And let's see what color. I'm going to use the #1. And I'm going to go from the base to the tip. And then I'm gonna go to this number 2. And I'm just starting at the tip and then just bringing the brush stroke down along the side. And I'm gonna go down to the smaller brush, so I'll go back to the number 1 detail brush, which is a shorter brush. And I'll take the number 3. Just doing these little swoops. Now I'm gonna do this blue color again. And I'm just bringing it all the way to the edge of the board. Couple more. I'm gonna do a number 1. And I'm just using the same brush for all of these. And we're just gonna do 1 more after these. And now I'm gonna use that light purple. And these ones are gonna come out further. Just kind of squeeze into that little gap. I think I'll just use this blue color and just do a swoop to fill in the gaps. I'm using that same brush, the 5/0. Maybe it's a smaller one. Okay, so that is pretty much it. So we are going to let this dry. We may do some more top dots and brush strokes, but I want this to fully dry before then. So we will give this a little bit. I'm actually going to just top dot that one real quick. These center ones, I'm going to use the large end of the blue tool, and I just want to do one more white, just really give that pop and that glowing effect. Okay, now we will let this dry for a bit. All right, so we are gonna add some accents. Most of our colors are dried out, so I'm gonna be making new ones anyways. So I want to just lighten this all up a little bit more. This one actually still has a good amount of paint in there, our number 1. So I'm gonna add some white. And just grabbing a mixing brush. So this is the Royal Navy. And I'm gonna add a little bit more white, just to give us a lighter bluish tone. And I'm gonna grab just a smaller brush. This number 1 will work fine. Just getting it wet. And I'm gonna take this blue, I'm just dipping the tip of the brush very lightly. And I'm going to be doing some top brush strokes. So on this blue one, I'm just going right through the center of it. I'm not covering up the whole thing. I'm just adding a little bit of the lighter blue color through the center of it. It's just kind of like a highlight. Okay, and I'm going to use the same brush and that same color. And I'm going to add some top brush strokes to that darker blue color. So same thing, we're just going right through the center of it, not covering it, just adding kind of a highlight. And I'm also going to do the same up here. So just any of the areas that look a little bit darker, we are going to lighten up. We are also going to top dot with that lighter blue color over the blue corner dots. I'm just adding a drop of water to this purple to moisten it up a bit. And I'm going to use this size 5.5 dotting rod. And I'm going to dot, I actually don't want that much purple. I'm gonna wipe that one up. I'd rather do blue. So I'll do this blue. And then I'm gonna take this light purple and go over this guide mark just to lighten up the center a little bit more. There's just a lot of darker colors in this palette, so I'm going to use the lighter colors to add some highlights and just brighten it up, make things pop a little bit. And then what else do I want to do? Maybe a little bit over how does that look? Nah, I don't like that. And I do want to do something lighter over that blue, and I think I'm going to use, you can use white, or I'm going to use some pearl, DecoArt white pearl. And I'm going to do the same thing, starting at the base and just going through the center up. And I'm going to use the pearl to just go over these light purple. Okay, once these top dots dry, I'm just going to dot over them again with pearl, and then we are done. Okay, we're just gonna add the last pearl top dots and then we are done. Oh, I did add some metallic purple on top of these ones too. I'm going to use the large end of the green stylus tool and just do a small dot. And then one last one. On the 4 corner dots. And we are finished. I'm going to let this completely dry for a couple hours and then we will remove the guide marks. Okay, we are now going to erase the guide marks. So I will use a Pampers wet wipe. And I'm just going to gently start erasing the guide marks. I like to use just light circular motions. Okay, now all the guide marks are removed, and I'm going to take this outside and varnish. And I will be using 2 coats of this Krylon crystal clear varnish. I use 1 coat, let it dry just for a couple minutes. It dries really fast, and then do a 2nd coat. And then we will come back and apply the mirrors. This is now varnished, so all we have to do now is just add those diamond mirrors, and then we are done. I am using this Gorilla Super Glue Gel, and I just put a tiny dot in the center, and then just lightly push down. I don't push down too hard because I don't want any of the paint coming out of the edges. All right, so once these are dried, I'll just wipe them off a bit, and then we are done, and I will show you the final result. And here is the final design. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please do me a favor, like this video, share it, and subscribe to my channel. All right, we'll see you guys next time.